What's going on, everyone? It's Nick, and I'm back with another NFL video about the playoffs. Before we begin, please remember to like. If you haven't yet, please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. So, we're going to talk about the NFL playoffs. I'm going to go completely unscripted and talk about the wild card games and also what I think is going to happen in the divisional games. Now, I'll admit, I did mess up with my last video, which didn't perform well anyways, but I'll keep it up there if you want to go watch it. I forgot to do my homework on how the brackets were going to work, but at least I was 5 for 6 in my predictions for the wild card games. But now I got to redo my predictions going forward. Well, my Super Bowl pick still stands though, but we'll get more into that. So let's just get into it with the wild card games first. So I'm going to start with the Bills-Colts game. Now, this was a game that I was asleep during, so I didn't get to watch live. But, of course, I had to do my homework on that game to be able to talk about it. And Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, they're just clicking on all cylinders right now. And to those of you who are Bills fans, congrats on winning your first playoff game since the Jim Kelly days. You guys deserve to be really happy right now because you've suffered for quite a long time. Next, we'll talk about the LA Rams and the Seattle Seahawks. As you may know from watching my earlier videos, or if you know me at all, that the Rams are my second favorite team. I was living in Southern California when they just moved back to LA, so I'll ride with them a little bit, but of course, I'm a Giants fan true and through. I think that's pretty well known at this point. But about that game, what's gone on with Russell Wilson? He looked like he was gonna win the MVP convincingly, and he's fallen off quite a bit, and he definitely underperformed, but you also got to give it to the Rams defense because, as usual, they came up big in this playoff game, although it was a higher scoring game than I anticipated. I think I predicted 13-10 Rams if I'm not mistaken, but it happened to be 30-20. And one of the Rams touchdowns was a defensive touchdown on a pick six by Darius Williams. So it wasn't entirely the Rams offense really. I mean, yes, they did put up some points, and my favorite Ram, Robert Woods, because I'm a USC Trojans fan, he caught a touchdown pass. Although I'm not going to rely on Jared Goff so much to get the Rams back to the Super Bowl. It's going to come down to the defense. And Aaron Donald, even though he had to leave the game early because of an injury, still the Rams were able to come away with the win. So a great job by the Rams. Honestly, I didn't think that they'd be able to make it this far in the playoffs. In fact, I wasn't so sure they would even make the playoffs going into the season, but here they are now. Great win for the Rams. Now on to the Buccaneers and the Washington football team. Now, I was expecting a blowout here. It didn't quite happen. And it actually wasn't the Washington defense that kept them in the game. Actually, even without Alex Smith, Taylor Heinicke, I don't know if I said his name right, but whatever, he showed up to play. And without Alex Smith, the football team looked like they were doomed. In fact, I didn't think that they would even have any shot with Alex Smith. So this is a good sign for the Washington football team for years to come. And I think that going forward for the next few years, it's going to come down to the Giants and the Washington football team for the NFC East. For who's going to win it, I like my Giants' chances of winning the NFC East next year, but I think that the Washington football team can put up a good fight against them next season. And yes, Chase Young is definitely the real deal, although he didn't even touch Brady, but still. Darren Payne was at least able to get 2 sacks. And Terry McLaurin, he has a lot of upside as a receiver, so just got to get a good quarterback. I'm not going to overreact to Taylor Heinicke. He had a good game, but I'm not going to overreact to him. And Alex Smith has proven to be a good bridge quarterback before. He's been one for Colin Kaepernick, and he was for Patrick Mahomes. So overall, though, I think that Ron Rivera has Washington headed in a good direction. But at the end of the day, Tom Brady did what he does best. So that's it for Saturday's games. Now let's get on to Sunday's games. First we got the Ravens and the Titans, and this was a lower scoring game than I anticipated. Although I was correct that the Ravens would come out on top and that Lamar Jackson would get his first playoff victory. Now he didn't throw any touchdown passes, but he did have a rushing touchdown. He was able to make some plays with his arm though. He just didn't get the ball in the end zone with his arm. He only did with his legs. And the Ravens defense definitely came through against a really potent Tennessee Titans offense. Ryan Tannehill only threw for 165 yards and Derrick Henry ran for only 40 yards. So yeah, the Ravens really did their thing on defense. And Marquise Brown also had a big game going for 109 yards for the Ravens. So then on to the Bears Saints game, and I don't think there's really much to say about that because the Saints won that game pretty convincingly, as we all expected, or at least most of us expected. One thing I will say about that game before I move on, NFL game on Nickelodeon? What? Then the Browns and Steelers. This was the one game that I got wrong because of all the guys that were missing on the Browns because of, you know, the word that YouTube really hates and what took over the world in 2020 still is right now in 2021. 3 coaches missing, 2 cornerbacks, a key offensive lineman. Anyone else I missed, let me know. But for them to actually win this game, and the fact that the Steelers actually almost came back, and yes, Ben Roethlisberger has definitely looked washed at times this season, especially late in the season. Although he did throw for over 500 yards, so I'm not quite convinced that he needs to hang it up yet, but I can understand why people are thinking that because he has not been so consistent and he's definitely not the Hall of Fame quarterback that he was before right now. And Juju Smith-Schuster, my favorite USC Trojan, always gonna root for the guy. I'm all for marketing yourself, but then from the TikTok dances, which obviously pissed off other teams, and then talking smack before the game saying that the Browns are just the same Browns he plays every year. Dude, don't give other teams that kind of motivation. Now, okay, you did let your play do the talking. Well, you individually, you did catch 13 passes for 157 yards and caught a touchdown pass. So, okay, like, you did put up some pretty amazing numbers. I'll give you that, but you didn't come away with a win. So, Juju, I mean, I understand you want to market yourself, and I'm all for that, but you got to take it down a notch when it comes to pissing off other teams, okay? Lastly, I think this goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. The Steelers are frauds. Off the top of my head, I don't know if I could think of a bigger fraud than the Steelers this year. Maybe the Giants team that started 5-0 and finished 8-8 in 2009. I know that's happened a few other times in NFL history, but that's just one team that comes to mind when it comes to frauds. But yeah, the Steelers, they're frauds. So now we got those quick recaps out of the way for the wildcard games. Now prediction time for the divisional games. So Saturday there's the Rams and the Packers, and I feel like the defense can only get this Rams team so far, and the Packers do have Aaron Rodgers, so I think that this is going to be a close game. I don't think it's going to be super low scoring, but I don't think it's going to be a shootout either. If the Rams have to go without Aaron Donald though, then they're definitely screwed. I want the Rams to win, obviously, but I think I'm going to go with 24-20 Packers. And then the other game, the Ravens and Bills. I'm going to go with the upset here because I'm really liking the Ravens defense. I'm going to go with 27-24 Ravens. And yes, Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs, like I said before, they're clicking on all cylinders right now. That's why I decided to not go with such a low score, but because the Ravens defense is so dominant right now, that's why I decided to go with both teams scoring in the 20s. Now with the Sunday games, the Chiefs and the Browns. Hey, Browns fans, congrats on your first playoff win, but I don't think you're winning another game. I think that the Chiefs are going to win this game pretty convincingly. I'm going to go with 35-20. And then we got the Saints and the Buccaneers. After the Buccaneers just weren't able to convincingly beat Washington after Washington barely beat a team that deliberately tried to lose. Now, okay, I did give Washington some high praise before, but it was still a game that the Buccaneers really should have won more convincingly than they did. And yes, I know the Saints should have won convincingly against the Bears, and they did. So I'm going to go with the Saints, and I'm going to go with, let's say, 32-30. Yeah, I'm going to go with just a 2-point game. So my original pick for Chiefs-Ravens in the AFC Championship, and also my original pick for Saints-Packers in the NFC Championship. Yeah, I can go back to that because that was what I predicted going into Week 17, and I think I can go back to that now that I actually realized how the playoff bracket's going to work. which I forgot to do my homework on in my last video, and my bad on that part. And then for the Packers and Saints, yeah, I'm gonna go with the Saints winning this one. I'm gonna go with 30-24, and then I'm gonna have the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl against the Saints. So yeah, my predictions going into week 17, I'm gonna go back to that. I don't think I predicted scores in that video, but that's what I'm gonna roll with. Early score prediction for the Super Bowl. This is very much subject to change, but for now, I think I'm gonna go with 31-25 Chiefs. That's the end of this video. Please remember to like if you haven't yet. Please remember to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Let me know what you think is going to happen going forward. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my picks. So, until next time.